Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, so we will resume from where we stopped during our last discussion. So last time we were discussing the application from the Paccanīyuddhāra in the Paccanīya chapter, and we discussed few applications, right? We discussed nahetuya pannarasa and also the naramane pannarasa, and discuss one more, right? Nasahajate ekādasa, right? So those are the three numbers, three enumerations which we discussed last time, right? So today, what my plan is to discuss all these 24, and as I told you last time, there are few rules which is applicable in the Paccanīya chapters, right? In to derive these enumerations. So there are about 10 rules. So I'm going to discuss them and how to get the enumerations in the Paccanīya sector. So that's what I'm going to do in today's class. So we'll start from this naadhipatiyā pannarasa, and we will move into this chart, which I believe that you all are familiar with by now. So yes, so we'll start it. So what you are doing is get the enumerations for naadhipatiyā pannarasa. So we know that the adhipati paccaya, it is two-folded. It's two-folded. There are two types of adhipati paccaya. So one part is called the aramanadhipati. So this aramanadhipati, it falls in the aramana group, right? So we know in this section the aramana group is shown here, right? So it falls here, right? It comes here, right? So what we have to do, we have to remove this aramanadhipati from here, right? And then what is the other part? That part is sahajatadhipati, right? Which comes here. It belongs to the sahajata small group. So that part also has to be removed. So what we are removing here is only the sahajatadhipati, right? We are removing these two parts. So what we can do is we can just like we did in the last time, we can count what are left, but it's very easy for us to derive this number based on what we learned last time, right? So now we know this aramanadhipati, it's a section, it's only a small portion of the aramana group, right? So even though we remove this 7, the aramana adhipati part from the aramana, it doesn't impact the total count from the aramana group, which is 9, right? It doesn't have any impact here. And also when it comes to the sahajata group, we know that the sahajata small, it's also a part of the sahajata group, right? So even though we remove these 7 visajjana, 7 enumerations, it does not impact the total number in the sahajata group. So ultimately, we are looking at how many enumerations, how many visajjanas? 15. Hope it is clear. And if you're not clear, you can ask me again. Okay. So what it happens is that what happened here is that even though we remove these 2 sections from the adhipati, it does not impact the total count, right? So we are looking at 15 visajjana. And if you have any questions, please do ask me, right? So this is from the last week's lesson. Do I have to explain in the other way, long way?
I think it's clear, Bhante.
Oh, okay. All right. So then we move into the next one. It is naanantare pannarasa, which means from the when the anantara paccaya is removed, we have 15 visarjanas. So in this categorization, where does this anantara paccaya falls in? It falls in the Upanishaye, right? In this section, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to remove the anantara, right? So we have to remove this, and we know naāsevane and anantara kamma. It belongs to the anantara. So when you are removing this, the naāsevane is also removed, and also the anantara kamma is also removed, right? So these three are removed from here. So, and this anantara kamma, I'm sorry, so this anantara paccaya which we removed is a portion, it's a part of the Upanishaye group, right? So in Upanishaye there are 9 enumerations, 9 visarjana we see here, right? So even though we remove these visarjanas, it doesn't have any impact on the total count. So again, we are looking at the 15 visarjanas, right? So we know the anantara and samanantara, they are the same. So it says nasamanantare pannarasa. So there is no difference between the enumerations in the anantara paccaya and in the samanantara paccaya. So there is no difference, right? Next one is sahajate ekādasa. I'm not going to discuss this again because we discussed this during our last discussion. And the next part is naāññamaññe ekādasa. Okay, to derive this ekādasa means how many visarjanas? Ekādasa means 11. Yes. So how to derive this 11 visarjana? We need to do a little bit of working to get this done, right? So I send you all a small document which I hastily prepared today by looking at Mula Patthāna Sayadaw's book, the translation of the Patthāna. And so what we are going to do is to derive the enumerations for the naññamaññe, right? So now where does this naññamaññe falls in? Naññamaññe paccaya falls in this categorization.
Middle sahajata?
Yes, it
Middle
falls in.
sahajata?
Yes. Yes, it's middle sahajata, but here we have shown that enumeration separately, right? We see it here, right? We find the naññamaññe paccaya here, right? So what we see here, it's a portion. It's again a portion. It's a part of the sahajata paccaya. So to get the visarjana from the sahajata group, from this area which comes from the sahajata group, right? To derive the number of enumerations, from this group, what we are supposed to do is to we have sahajata. From sahajata, we have to deduct the naññamaññe. Right? So what we are going to do is to deduct this to see how many enumerations which comes from for the naññamaññe. Right? So why do we deduct naññamaññe, by the way? Because we are going to find what? Naāññamaññe.
Answer for, yeah, the for naāññamaññe.
Naāññamaññe means the enumerations which are not applicable for naññamaññe. If when the naññamaññe is removed, what are the condition states which arise, right? So what we are going to do is to deduct the naññamaññe from the sahajata from the sahajata sarupata. Sarupata means the what do you call it in English? Sarupata. Sarupata means the it's the ultimate realities which is associated with the sahajata. Right? So I will explain first. I will explain what comes in the sahajata. I think that you all are familiar with this dhammas because you all have studied the Paññāvāra Vibhanga. So I think you all are familiar with this, right? So, but anyway, I will quickly go through it and have a quick recap on the sarupata, which comes from the sahajata. Right? So there are three sections, three parts. The first part, it says the four mental aggregates during life and at the time of conception, which supports each other, comma, mind produce matter, and rebirth, comma, produce matter. Right? I will explain what it means. So the four mental aggregates which support. So in this part, in this parts of this sentence, it shows the paccaya dhammas, right? The dhammas which are supporting the conditioned state, the conditions which are supporting, the conditioned dhammas which are supporting the conditioned states. And in this part of the sentence, it shows the Paccayuppāna. Paccayuppāna means the conditioned states, right? So what are the the paccaya dhammas, the four mental aggregates, the Vedana Khandha, Sanya Khandha, Sankhara Khandha, and Vijñāna Khandha. Those are the four mental aggregates. And where do these four mental aggregates arise? During life, which means after the time of conception and during the time of conception. So in these two places, in these 2 points, these four mental aggregates arise. And they are supporting each other, right? So the four mental aggregates, they support each other. So I have shown it here, each other. And the other part, it says each other and mind produce matter and rebirth, comma, produce matter. So in the second part, it says each other and mind produce matter, which means that when the mind produce matters are also arising, the four mental aggregates, they support each other, plus they support the mind produce matter, the chittaja rupa. So that is explained here. And also in the time of rebirth, in the birth, there is rebirth, comma, produce matter at the time of rebirth. So the patisandhi chitta, the rebirth chitta, it supports the rebirth, comma, produce matter, right? So these are the so that's what it's explaining here, right? So this is the first part. If there is anything unclear, you all can ask me, right? We don't need to wait until the end of the lecture, right? End of the discussion.
Subandhya.
Yes.
So what is the difference, the first each other and the second each other?
First one, it explains about the relationship between nama and nama. Here it shows nama and nama plus rupa. It's like that. So here it's then say
okay.
This is applicable for Chatuokara. Chatuokara bhava. Chatuokara bhava means, Sally, can you please help me? Chatuvokara bhava, that means the
Chatuvokara bhava is refers like they plan without
yes, without the root, the material, right? The matter.
yes.
They don't have
Yes.
the matter yet, right? So this is applicable for here, and the nama plus nama rupa is applicable for and this one is also, yeah, for the panchavokara.
Panchavokara and the arupa.
This is arupa. Arupa is Chatuvokara, right? And this relationship is there in some of the panchavokara chitta as well, right? In some of the chittas we have this relationship. Say for example, there are some consciousness which does not which does not generate mind produced matter. So in that chittas we see this relationship, nama and nama only. It doesn't have relationship with nama and nama rupa, right? So that is the first part of the Sahajata, and the second part is, it says the 4 great elements which supports each other and 24 dependent matters, right? So what we see here is that there are 4 elements, the Patavi, Apo, Tejo and Vayu. These 4 elements, they do support each other, right? Plus they support the 24 dependent matter as well. So this is the second part. They support each other and they support the 24 other dependent matter as well, right? Okay, I will break it down. I think it will be easy. Right, so they are supporting each other, right? Okay, so this is what is meant by which supports each other. And this one, for the second part, we have the 4 great elements, and they are supporting the 24 dependent matter. These are the 2. Okay, let me break it down. See it like this, right? And
the 4 to 24 upadaya rupas, right?
yes, upadaya rupa. That's what is meant by.
Okay.
Right. Okay. The next one, the third part, is the 4 mental aggregates and the heart base which support each other at the time of conception. Right? Should I add a T here? Right. The 4 mental aggregates and the heart base which supports each other at the time of conceptions. So what do we mean by this? We have the 4 mental aggregates and they support the heart base, right? The heart base, and they support each other, right? 4 mental aggregates support the heart, and the heart base support the 4 mental aggregates at the time of conception, right? So these are the three parts, right? Now, what we did here was to explain the ultimate dhamma, ultimate factors, which is applicable for the Sahajata Paccaya. So now we are going to do is what we initially intended, right? To deduct the naññamaññe from the Sahajata. So from this first part, right? From this first part, we have to remove the section which is applicable for naññamaññe, which means that now what you see in the naññamaññe is that the Paccaya Dhamma and the Paccayuppana Dhamma, they support each other in two sides, right? So what we are going to do is to remove those areas, right? So we have the four mental aggregates during life and at the time of conception, which supports each other. So what is when we mean as when they support each other, means that the four mental aggregates, one mental aggregate is supporting the other three, right? The other three is supporting that mental the aggregate, right? And three mental aggregates are supporting the other mental aggregate, and that mental aggregate it's supporting the other three in return. And the two mental aggregates, they are supporting the other two, and that two is supporting back to the other one. So that's what we call as each other. So then in that section, we see the naññamaññe part, right? So what we are going to do is remove that part, right? Each other. So we get this part, right? So we removed that. So now we are looking at what? The four mental aggregates during life, and the time of conception, which supports mind-produced matter and rebirth karma-produced matter, right? So this is what? Sahajata minus naññamaññe, which is applicable for this first part. So then we move into the second part. Okay, do we have any questions here also? Y'all can ask, right? No problem with that. Okay, good, no questions. Right, in the second part, we have to remove the naññamaññe from this section as well. Now we see the four great elements, they are supporting each other in this part, right? In this part, they are supporting each other, which means we see the naññamaññe paccaya here. So what we are going to do, we are going to remove this one as well. So we are looking at four great elements, which are supporting the 24 dependent matter, right? So this is the answer for Sahajata paccaya, Sahajata minus naññamaññe for this section, right? So are we clear with that? In the third section, it says the four mental aggregates and the heart base, which supports each other at the time of conception. So here we see the four mental aggregates supporting the heart base, and the heart base is supporting the four mental aggregates in return. So this section, the full part, you see the naññamaññe paccaya, right? So we are removing this whole thing. Right? So the sarupatta for the Sahajata minus naññamaññe is the four mental aggregates during life and at the time of conception, which supports mind-produced matter and rebirth karma-produced matter. And the four great elements, which supports 24 dependent matter. Okay, we'll do it here, right? Which supports 24 dependent matter. Right? So these are the two areas, which is C. And now we have to look into what are the enumerations which are applicable here in these two parts, right? So first we see the four mental aggregates when they are supporting the mind-produced matter and the rebirth karma-produced matter. You see kusala, right? Kusala, the mental aggregates can be kusala, and in this side, with the mind-produced matter, they are abhyakata, right? The other instance should be akusala, and the mind-produced matter is abhyakata. And also, there are abhyakata mental aggregates, right, which supports the mind-produced matter and also and at the time of rebirth, it supports the karma produced matter. So we have the abhyakata here, and abhyakata here. So these are the three relationships which we see where in sahajata, when you deduct when you deduct the naññamaññe from the sahajata. Are we clear up to this point? Okay, any questions y'all can ask? Okay, seems to be clear. Okay, in addition to these three, there are few other relationships. There are two other relationships which have this same kind of relation, which is quite similar to this, right? So what we see here in this side, we see nama, and here this side we see rupa, right? If it is four mental aggregates supporting each other, we don't see this relationship, right? We see the naññamaññe. And if it's the four great elements supporting each other, we see the naññamaññe relationship, right? So we see in one side it's nama, and the other side it's rupa. Plus we see the relationship as rupa and rupa in here, right? We see this relationship. Okay. So there are two other enumerations which are applicable here. Kusala abhyakato abhyakatassa and akusala abhyakato abhyakatassa. Right. So if you all have learned the Vibhangavara, you may have seen this relationship, right? Kusala abhyakato abhyakatassa and akusala abhyakato abhyakatassa. So here we see kusala, and here we see abhyakata, right? So in this side we see the four mental aggregates, the kusala mental aggregates, the wholesome mental aggregates, and they are supporting with and together with some abhyakata dhammas, with some rupa, they are supporting the rupas, the abhyakatas, right? The mind produced material, matter, mind produced matter, they are supporting. So we see we don't see the naññamaññe relationship here. Do we get this point? Right? We don't see the naññamaññe relationship here, right? In generally in the when we say for naññamaññe, we say kusalo kusalassa, akusalo akusalassa, and abhyakato abhyakatassa. Those are the three relationships which you see in the Paññāvāra Anuloma Vibhanga, right? We see. But here we see this relationship as well, right? Here one side we see the kusala dhammas and they're supporting the abhyakata. And also we see the same relationship, right? The akusala dhammas, the unwholesome mental aggregates, they're supporting the abhyakata rupas, the mind produced matter, right? So in this also we don't see what? The naññamaññe relationship.
Bhante, can you just clarify now which Vibhanga are you explaining?
I'm telling
Which
about
actually Sarvapata, which point now? I lost it.
here, is it? Okay.
Which point is it? Which Sarupatha?
You're asking me, Sale, the which enumeration? Where do we find this one, right?
Oh, this read in this kusala abhyakata to abhyakata. Which sentence are you explaining now?
Yes, I'm telling here. I'm telling here. You see, kusala abhyakato abhyakatassa, right? You see, akusala abhyakato abhyakatassa. I'm telling about this one. What I'm telling is, in here also, we don't see the naññamaññe relationship, right? What I'm telling here is, I repeat the sentence, right? So in these two relationships, we don't see the naññamaññe paccaya. So this is applicable for naāññamaññe, right? So we consider these 3 plus these 2, right? So these 5 are applicable for sahajata minus naññamaññe. When you deduct the dhammas which have the naññamaññe paccaya from sahajata, we get this number 5, right? So what are the enumerations? Kusalo abhyakatassa, akusalo abhyakatassa, abhyakato abhyakatassa. And also kusala abhyakato abhyakatassa, akusala abhyakato abhyakatassa. So that's how you get the 5 from here. Are we clear? Not clear? Okay, you can repeat the question. It's okay, Sally. Yes, you can.
So just these 3, just to reiterate. So kusala, these are 4 mental aggregates to the mind-produced or karma-produced matter. Is that right? Oh no, just mind-produced, because abhyakata cannot. I mean, it cannot be during rebirth. Kusala. Is that right? This kusala to abhyakata, this is 4 mental aggregates to mind-produced matter.
This one, right?
No. I'm looking now at
This one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start. Okay, good. Yes, mind-produced matter. Kusala to mind-produced matter. Akusala to mind-produced matter. For abhyakata, the 4 mental aggregates supporting for mind-produced matter plus the rebirth karma-produced matter. Because we see the abhyakata, the patisandhi chitta, the conception chitta, conception consciousness, it's abhyakata. So we see this here. Then here we see kusala abhyakato abhyakata. So we see the kusala is the kusala dhammas, abhyakata means the 4 great elements. They are supporting the rupas, right? And here we see akusala dhammas, the akusala chittas, the akusala aggregates. They are supporting the together with the 4 great elements, they are supporting the abhyakata. So in these 5, right? In these 5, we don't see the naññamaññe relationship. So that's why I get 5 is sajjana. Okay. So now it's very easy. The next part. Okay. I mean, we did the other part, of course, right? Okay. From the Arambana group, we get this 9. Right? Now we are looking at what? Naāññamaññe, right? We are looking at the enumerations from naāññamaññe. So we are looking at this 9, right? From naāññamaññe, we take 9. I'm sorry. From Arambana, we take 9. And then we move in to the next one. And from Sahajata, we are looking at 5 Vissajjanas. Right? Kusalo abhyakatassa, akusalo abhyakatassa, abhyakato abhyakatassa, and kusala abhyakato abhyakatassa. Right? Now we have to see what are the enumerations. We have to compare this 5 against this 9. So we see kusala abhyakata relationship in Arambana here, right? Kusala abhyakata relationship here. So we don't count this one, right? We don't take it because it's already included. Then we look at akusala abhyakata. We see the Arambana relationship here, right? Akusalo abhyakatassa. So we don't count that one as well. And the abhyakato abhyakatassa, it's also obvious. It's already included. So we are not going to add it up. And these relationships, the other final, these two, it's not included, right? Kusalabhyakato abhyakatasa and akusalabhyakato abhyakatasa, it was not included previously, right? So these two, are applicable, right? So what they are going to do is we are going to add 2 here, right? So from Sahajata, in essentially, I mean, when you look at the total count, we only add 2 here, right? So it means 9 plus 2. So we are looking at 11. And with that 11, we are moving into the Upanissaya group. So we know in Upanissaya group, we have 9 here. So it does not add up to the total count. We move to the Purejāte. So all the 3 enumerations which you see in the Purejāte, it is already included. Then we move into the Paccājāte. The 3 enumerations which comes from the Paccājāte was included previously. So we don't add up. And from the Kamma, it's also the same because those 2 enumerations were previously included. For Ahāra and Indriya, it's obvious it's Abhyakato Abhyakatassa. They were also included. And now we come to the Sahajata, Purejāte, and we need to know how to treat this one, right? Sahajata and Purejāte, right? So when you say Sahajata and Purejāte, so what are the 2 enumerations which you see here? Can you name it? What are the 2 enumerations here? Kusalabhyakato kusalasa and akusalabhyakato akusalasa, right? Kusalabhyakato kusalasa and akusalabhyakato abhyakatasa. Kusalabhyakato kusalasa and akusalabhyakato akusalasa. So we see the kusala dhammas here, and here also we see the kusala dhammas. We see the akusala here, and also we see the akusala here. So when the 4 mental aggregates, kusala mental aggregates, they are supporting the 4 kusala mental aggregates. So we see the naāññamaññe here. Same with akusala as well, right? So how do we are going to treat this one? We are not going
to exclude it.
Yes, we are not. Yeah, we are not going to include it. So we are removing it. Done, right? Okay, good. Now we have to move. Okay, so we remove it, right? This 2 is not included. And finally, we have the other 2 missaka paccayas, paccājāta āhāra missaka and paccājāta indriya missaka. Right? So we see the enumerations, they are same. So what are these enumerations? This is kusalabhyakato. Okay, let me show it clearly. Okay, this one is kusalabhyakato abhyakatassa, and the second one is akusalabhyakato abhyakatassa, which we already included here, right? So in these 2, we already have these 2. Are we clear? This one. Clear or not? I think it's clear, right? Okay, I'll assume it's clear, right? Because these 2 were previously included. So the total we see as 11, right? So we see as 11, we see it, saw it in the Pali as naanññamaññe, ekādasa. Nanissaye, ekādasa. Right. So we are going to see how to derive the visarjana for nissaye, nanissaye. Okay. So we have to go through each of these groups to see where the nissaye paccaya is applicable. So for the nissaye paccaya, when you look at the ārambana group, where can we find the nissaye paccaya? Can you find? So there are a few types of nissaya, right? Sahajata nissaya, ārambana purejāte nissaya, like that. There are a few types, right? We see the first type of nissaya in this part, right? Vattārammana purejāte nissaya. There is one type of nissaya called like that. And also Vattārammana naadhipatiyā. It's also another place we find the nissaye paccaya. So that we are going to remove. Eliminate the nissaye paccaya. But we know it's just a portion, a part of the ārambana group, so it doesn't have any impact on the total count. And moving into the sahajata group, we know there is sahajata nissaya, which is a sahajata great paccaya. So we know all the dhammas which is applicable for the sahajata group. It's related to sahajata nissaye paccaya because it's one of the four main paccayas in the sahajata group, right? So we have to remove the whole thing, the whole sahajata paccaya in full. We are going to remove it. We are clear with that, right? So when it comes to the upanissaya group, it's not related with the nissaya anyway, right? It's not related. So we are going to leave it like that. And also we have to we know this 9, it doesn't have any impact on the total count as well, right? So we are looking at how many? Only 9 at the moment, right? 9 enumerations. And then moving into the purejāte, we find the nissaye paccaya here as well. So what is the nissaye paccaya we find here? Vattu purejāte nissaya, right? Okay. So the vattu purejāte nissaya, because of vattu purejāte nissaya, this group has to be removed, right? So in total, in full, we are going to remove this part as well. So we are clear, right? So then we have the paccājāte. So it doesn't have any impact on the total count, right? No impact. Then we have the kamma. The enumerations were included previously, so it doesn't have any impact on the total count. And then rupa, aāhāra, and rupa jivitindriya, it's the same, right? Abhyakato, abhyakatasa was included previously. But when it comes to the sahajata, purejāte, missaka, we need to know how it has to be done, right? We know in sahajata, purejāte, missaka, there are three paccayas. In 3 paccayas, we see these 3 enumerations, 2 enumerations, right? We see the kusalabhyakato kusalassa and akusalabhyakato akusalassa in sahajata, purejāte, and nissaya. So nissaya is included here. So we are not going to add up this one as well, right? So we are going to remove it. And in the case of the paccājāta āhāra missaka and the paccājāta indriya missaka, these 2 enumerations were not included previously. Right? These 2, kusalabhyakato, abhyakatasa, and akusalabhyakato, abhyakatasa. I'm talking about these 2, right? So they were not included previously. So what we are going to do, we are going to add up these 2, right? So 9 plus these 2 is 11. Clear, right? So that's what we see in the Pali as nanissaye ekādasa. Right. The next one is naupanissaye pannarasa, which means the 15 visarjana, which comes when the upanissaya paccaya is removed. Okay. For naupanissaye, where should we treat? We have to remove this part, right? The upanissaya group has to be removed. Are we clear with this one? We remove this section, right? So what is the number which comes here? The maximum number in the Upanissaya, it's 9, and we know this 9 is included in Aramana, in Sahajata. I'm sorry, it's not in Sahajata, it's included in Aramana, and yes. So because of that, it doesn't have any impact, right? Even though it's removed, it doesn't have any impact on the count. So that's why we see as 15, Naramane Pannarasa. And next one is napurejāte terasa. So we have removed, when we exclude the purejāta paccaya, we are looking at 13 enumerations. So where do we see the purejāta paccaya? In which group we see? We see it here, right? In purejāta.
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to remove this one as well, right? So we remove it. And in addition to this part, there is another place we see the purejāta paccaya. Can anyone answer it?
There was in the Aramana group.
Sahaja.
Yes, yes, both answers I accept. Yes, there were purejāta paccaya in the Aramana group, which I forgot, right? So thank you for reminding. Right, here we see the purejāta, right? Aramana purejāta, Pattāramana purejāta, we see this part. Right? So we have to remove it. So even though we remove it, it doesn't have any impact because it's a part of the Aramana group, right? And then
We have the Sahajata, Purijata, Misaka.
Yes, exactly. And this also we see the purejāta part, right? We have the purejāta paccaya here as well, right? The hard base, it's purejāta. The paccaya dhamma we see, it's the purejāta dhamma is the hard base, right? So we remove that one as well. So from the 15, and so when we deduct here, it doesn't have any impact on the Arambana, right? And also here, when you look at this part from the Sahajata, it doesn't have any impact as well, right? So from here we get 9 plus, from here we get the additional, how much?
2.
No, not 2. We get it here. Anyway, without adding it that way, we can do it in a very easy way. Yeah. We only look at the impact, right? We know from here there is no impact. For Arambana, there is no impact. And from here, from Purejāta, when you deduct it, it doesn't have any impact on the total count, right? This part as well. But when you deduct this part, these two were not included in any other visarjana, any other paccaya. It only this Sahajata, Purejāta, Missaka is these the Kusalabhyakato Kusalasa and Akusalabhyakato Akusalasa are applicable only for the Sahajata, Purejāta, Missaka. So when you remove this, what happens? These two get deducted, right? So it means 15 minus 2, it's 13, right? So that's what we see in Pali, napurejāte terasa. Are you clear? Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, then we move into this one, paccājāte pannarasa. Okay, so paccājāte, it's not going to be difficult because paccājāte we don't see in many places, right? So one place we see the paccājāte is here, right? In the paccājāte group. So we are going to deduct it. Straightforward, right? So in addition to the paccājāte main group, we see other two types in the
We
missaka.
have two misakas.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Paccājāta missaka and paccājāte indriya missaka. So we are going to deduct them as well. But when you deduct this, we know there is no impact from here, right? These three were included in the other. And from this part also there is no impact because this kusala abhyakato abhyakata and akusala abhyakato abhyakata was included here in the sahajata previously, right? So therefore it doesn't have any impact, so it's 15. Yeah, clear with that, right?
Yes,
now,
Vanya.
okay, next one is naāsevane pannarasa. From when you remove the asevana paccaya, there are 15 visarjana. Where does this asevana paccaya come? Where does it come?
In the Upanishaya.
Yes, exactly. So here we see this part. So we remove it. So these three, it's anyway included in the other places, right? So there is no other place which the asevana paccaya comes. So it's very straightforward. It's 15. The next one is nakamme pannarasa. Nakamme pannarasa. So kamma, we know there are few types of kamma paccaya. Few types. So first one is in the sahajata group, right? We see here from the sahajata kamma. So even though we remove this 7, it doesn't have any impact to the sahajata group, right? And moving on, we see in another place where
Naanantare.
yes, we see it in the anantara. Yes, we see it in the
Upanishaya part also have.
yes, we see it in anantara kamma, and here we see balava nanakkanika kamma. And also we see it here as well. Balava dubbala nanakkanika kamma, right? Which the part of the kamma paccaya, we doesn't have the upanishaya, right? So even though we deduct these enumerations, it doesn't have any impact on the total count, right? So we are looking at 15. So that's I see in the Pali as nakamme pannarasa. Nakamme pannarasa, right? The next one is navipāke pannarasa. So navipāke means it's when
So in the Sahajata.
yes, it's included in the sahajata. So it comes only in here, right? In this part. We deduct it. It doesn't have any impact on the total count, right? So it's 15. Then we have naāhāre pannarasa, which means we have to deduct the āhāra paccaya. So where do we find the āhāra paccaya? First, we find it in the yes, we find it in the sahajata group, and here we see it as sahajata āhāra, right? Sahajata āhāra, and also we see here. What is the other place?
In the Misaka part also have.
We have the rupahara here.
Yeah.
So you're going to deduct that. And also in the missaka part also we see paccājāte missaka. So we deduct that part as well, right? So even though we deduct these parts, it doesn't have any impact on the total number of enumerations. So it remains at 15. And so that's what we see in here at naāhāre pannarasa. The next one is naindriye pannarasa. So where do we see the indriya? First part we see in sahajata small, right? It is the sahajata indriya. Okay, see the sahajata indriya. And also where the yeah, in the Vattu indriya, there is a part called Vattu Purejāte indriya here. We remove it. And also there is another part. Yeah, the
Rupajivit.
Yeah. That we remove it. And in addition to that, we have in the Missaka, Paccājāte indriya also we have it. Right? So we remove these with Sajjana, but we know they are just merely they don't have any impact, right? So that's I see at 15. Najhāne and namagge, we'll take it together and discuss. They are very straightforward. Why? The reason? Najhāne
small
and
sahajata only.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. They belong to the small sahajata group, so it's very straightforward. Najhāne and namagge belongs here. Right? So even though we remove it, it doesn't have any impact to the total count, right? So we get the 15 here. Najhāne pannarasa and namagge pannarasa. And the next one is nasampayutte ekādasa. Right? Nasampayutte ekādasa. So the method to derive this number for nasampayutta is also almost the same with naāññamaññe ekādasa. Right? The method is same, pretty much the same, right? Almost same, I would say. So where does this sampayutta paccaya is applicable? Where is it applicable? In which kind of dhammas?
Nama to nama, the aggregates to aggregates.
Yes,
the
exactly.
Four mental aggregates to four mental aggregates.
Yes. So what we are going to do is we are going to remove the parts which are applicable for sampayutta, right? Nasampayutta. So which we already did here, right? We removed the four mental aggregates which are supporting each other. Yes. So this part, it's straightforward, right? And this also, because we are looking at the nasampayutta, we can consider this full part, right? We don't need to consider about removing some parts from this from the four great elements. We just take it as it is, the four great elements. And from this part also, the four mental aggregates and the heart base supporting each other, also that part also we can consider it. The reason is, here we see the naññamaññe paccaya, but these two dhammas, these two ultimate realities, they don't have the sampayutta paccaya, right? The four mental aggregates does not have the sampayutta paccaya to the heart base, and the heart base does not have any, it doesn't have the sampayutta paccaya, the four mental aggregates. So all these parts are included. So, but it doesn't change, even though these two are included, it does not change the enumerations which comes here. The reason is, these four great elements, when they are supporting each other, we see the relationship as abhyakato abhyakatas, right? Each other, and when they are supporting the 24 dependent matter, it's the abhyakato abhyakatas. And when the four mental aggregates and the heart base are supporting each other, we see the abhyakato abhyakatas relationship. So the total number of enumerations, it's not going to have any impact, right? And these two, kusala abhyakato abhyakatas and akusala abhyakato abhyakatas also does not have the sampayutte relationship, right? The kusala, we see the kusala here, and we see the abhyakata dhammas here. We see the akusala in this side, and we see the abhyakata dhammas in this side. So we don't see the sampayutte relationship here, right? So it's the same with the naāññamaññe, which we did previously. So we don't need to do anything to specially explain this one, right? It's the same method, right? So we get the 5 visajjana here, and then we add up from ārambana, we add up the kusala abhyakato abhyakatassa, akusala abhyakato abhyakatassa, and from upanissaya there is no impact. From purejāte, paccājāte, kamma, naāhāre, indriye, there is no impact. And from sahajāta, purejāte, we see the sampayutte relationship. Why? From sahajāta we see kusala abhyakato kusalasa and akusala abhyakato akusalasa. We see the sampayutte relationship, right? We see the kusala dhammas here and kusala dhammas in this side, akusala here and akusala in this side. So we are going to remove that as well. So when we add up all this, we get the 11 visajjana for 11 visajjana for this part, right? For the sampayutta. The next one is navippayutte nava, the 9 visajjanas which are applicable when the vippayutta paccaya is removed. So what we are going to do is we are going to sahajāta minus vippayutta. So that's what we are going to do, right? The vippayutta paccaya, where do we see this vippayutta paccaya? We see the vippayutta paccaya in nama and rupa relationships, right? In sahajāta here, right? When the 4 mental aggregates supports the mind produced matter and rebirth karma produced matter, we see this vippayutta relationship. And in addition to that, we see in both ways, right? Nama rupa and rupa nama, right? It's supporting each other in vippayutta paccaya. So nama and rupa has to be removed. This first relationship has to be removed. So the 4 mental aggregates, when they are supporting the mind produced matter and the rebirth karma produced matter, so what does it mean? We have the vippayutta paccaya, right? So what we are going to do is that we are going to remove this part, this section. And in the 4 great elements, when they are supporting each other and the 24 dependent matter, the vippayutta paccaya is not applicable. Therefore, we don't need to deduct. We don't need to deduct from that part as well, right? And finally, in this part, in this section, we see the 4 mental aggregates and the heart base. They support each other. And this part, we see the vippayutta paccaya, right? So we are going to remove this section in full. So we are looking at the 4 mental aggregates supporting each other and the 4 great elements supporting each other, plus they are supporting the 24 dependent matter. So these are the things we see in from when you deduct the vippayutta from sahajāta, we see the relationships like that. So what are the enumerations what are the visajjana we see in this part, in this section? We see kusala and kusala, right? When it's a kusala consciousness, kusala chitta, we see this relationship. The four mental aggregates supporting each other in this way. And also we see this relationship for akusala and akusala. And also, if the consciousness is an abhyakata one, if the chitta is abhyakata one, we see this relationship. Abhya. So these are the three. So these are the three enumerations which comes here. And these four great elements which supports each other and 24 dependent matter. What is the relationship? It's abhyakata, which is already included. So we don't need to add it up, right? So I'm going to write them here, right? We see the, okay, we are talking about this group. We are talking about this group. So we see the kusalasa. We see these three, right? From the working, we get these things. So in addition to that, there are a few other things we need to know a little bit. We are looking at additional information. So what we know, kusalo abhyakatassa, it's not applicable, right? Because we see the vippayutte paccaya straight away, straightforward. And then we see the akusalo abhyakatassa, we see the relationship, straightforward. And also we see the abhyakato abhyakatassa. In these three, we know that the vippayutte paccaya is applicable, right? So in the Paññāvāra Vibhanga, we know this thing, right? Kusalo abhyakatassa, akusalo abhyakatassa, and abhyakato abhyakatassa. So in addition to those three, there are a few other relationships which has the vippayutte relationship, which is this one, right? It is kusala abhyakatassa. So here we see the kusala part, and here in the paccayuppānna dhamma we see abhyakata. So we don't include this one as well, right? And then also we see akusala abhyakatassa. So here also this relationship is not is there, right? The vippayutte relationship is there. So we are not including that one as well. And for these two, kusala abhyakato abhyakatassa and akusala abhyakato abhyakatassa, we see kusala dhammas here and abhyakata in here. Akusala dhammas here and abhyakata dhammas here. So these two is also not applicable. Right? From the Sahajata group, we know there are nine enumerations, 9 visajjana. From 9, these 6 are not included, but the abhyakata is applicable from the 4 mental aggregates when they are supporting each other, right? So that's why we count it here, right? So anyway, this is the answer, right? So we're looking at 3. Okay, so now we need to look into all these areas and derive the answers. We get 9 from the Arammana, which is straightforward. And from Sahajata, we add up these 3, right? Kusalo kusalassa, akusalo akusalassa, and abhyakato abhyakatassa. Now these 3 were already included here, right? Kusalo kusalassa, akusalo akusalassa, and abhyakato abhyakatassa. They've already included. Right. And then we move into the Upanissaye group. So does it have any impact? Does it have any impact? No, right? Because these they were previously included. And moving into the Purejāta group, we know in Purejāta group, in the Purejāta paccaya, there is vippayutta, right? Purejāta vippayutta. There is a one type of vippayutta called purejāta vippayutta. We were initially dealing with the sahajata part, of course, and yes, so there is another part here, right? So this purejāta, this whole section, this whole group has to be removed, right? So even they are removed, it doesn't have any impact on the total count. And the next one, we are moving into the paccājāte. So this paccājāte is also removed. Why? The reason is there is a type of vippayutta called paccājāta vippayutta. So we removed that one as well. The kamma and naāhāre, indriye, they don't have any impact. And from sahajata purejāta missaka, we know in sahajata purejāta missaka, there is this vippayutta paccaya, right? So because one side we see the abhyakata, the heart base, it is supporting for the chitta, right? In kusala abhyakato abhyakatassa. So the kusala abhyakato abhyakatassa, so we see in the abhyakata, this part is the heart base. So it has the vippayutta relationship. So these two are also excluded, right? We are going to remove them. And then from this one, we see the paccājāte in these two as well. Paccājātāhāra missaka and paccājāte indriya missaka. Right? Paccājātāhāra missaka and paccājāte indriya missaka. So we know with paccājāta paccaya, there is the vippayutta as well, vippayutta element, right? Vippayutta paccaya as well. So this part is also removed. So we are looking at these 9 visarjana finally. The reason was that because all these were eliminated, right? All these visarjana, they were eliminated. So this is the final answer for vippayutta. Right? Navippayutte nava, 9 visarjana for vippayutta. I missed to explain one type of vippayutta, which is included in Aramana, of course, which does not have any impact on the total count, right? That is the vippayutta we see here, right? Aramana purejāte, from vattaramana purejāte vippayutta. Vattaramana purejāte vippayutta and vattaramanādhipati, right? So these two have the vippayutta paccaya. Vattaramana purejāte and vattaramanādhipati. Right? So we have to remove it, right? We have to remove it, but still it does not impact the total count. Next one is noatthiyā nava, and this one we have to look at. It's also very straightforward. Okay, can any of maybe Seale do this one? Instead of me teaching, can Seale teach it? Okay, so we'll start from the Aramana group.
So, okay, in Aramana, just Aramana, it's not Athi.
I mean,
Is there any Athi in it?
Yeah, we have to see whether is there any Athi involved in this part. Aramana-adhipati.
Oh, actually, Athi is very long. When you chant it, it's very long. There are many groups included there.
Yes. Okay, start from here.
What Aramana purejāte?
Okay. We see in Aramana purejāte also we see the Athi. Aramana purejāte also we see.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? Then Vattaramana purejāte we see the Ati paccaya, and also in Aramana purejāta adhipati we get the attipacchaya. So we are going to remove all this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then,
And then all sahajata.
yes, all
That's
sahajata
easy.
is removed. So the reason is why? What is the reason for that?
Because it's all ati.
Yes, sahajata atti is a main component, main paccaya in the sahajata group. And in Upanissaya group, do we find atti or not?
I don't see. I don't know. I don't see.
You don't see it. Okay. Anyway, we don't have attipacchaya here, right? In Upanissaya, there is no attipacchaya, right? And then moving into the next one. Patthāna, do we have or not?
Yes.
We have it, right?
No?
Yes, we
Yes,
have it.
of course.
Paccājāta group, what about the Paccājāta group?
Also, yes,
Yes.
paccājāte ati.
We have the Paccājāta atti, so we remove it. And then this one, Balava Dubbala Nanakkanika Kamma?
No,
No, it
it's
doesn't have.
nakamme.
Then Rupahara.
Yes, in Masakayas, yes, to this. Yeah, it's right here.
We have the atti, and then in Rupa Jivitindriya,
Rupajivitindriya as
and the
well.
Attipacchaya.
Yes.
So
And
all
all these misakas as well.
yes, in all the Missaka as well, because all of them are related to the Attipacchaya, right? Sahajata, Purejāta, Missaka, and all these are removed. Okay. So now we have to see how many enumerations, right? From Aramana, we get these 9, right? Because it doesn't have any impact. Sahajata is already out. We have the Upanissaya. From Upanissaya, the 9 enumerations, the Visarjana, they've already included here. So it's not going to have any impact. We have the Balava Dubbala Nanakkanika Kamma here. These 2 is already included previously, before. And all the other paccayas are removed, right? So this is the final answer, right? So in the Pali we saw noatthiyā nava and also noavigate nava. Atthiyā and navigate are the same, right? Yes. And the other 2 is also quite easy. Nonatthiyā pannarasa.
Have we already done this? No, anantara is the same.
Yes, it's already done, because in anantara it's a main paccaya in the anantara group. So when you remove the same method, right, with the anantara and samanantare, right? So we don't need to do it again. Okay, so the first part of our discussion is done. We are done with the Suddha Sankhya. Okay, so I sent this small note maybe about 2 days ago. I sent it. These are the rules which we learn in Myanmar to derive the Visarjana. Now for the other types of enumeration, the 2s, 3s, like that, right? So we now what it is was for the Suddha. We only have 1 paccaya here, right? So what are the how many enumerations when it comes to 1 paccaya, right? So here when we go down, we see 2 paccayas here, right? Nahetupaccaya, nāramane, pannarasa. So when you say nahetupaccaya, nāramane, pannarasa, there are 2 paccayas, right? When you say nahetupaccaya, naadhipatiyā, pannarasa, so there are 2 here. So when moving to the tika, there are 3 paccayas: nahetupaccaya, nāramanapaccaya, naadhipatiyā, pannarasa. So we are talking only about, now it goes on, right? Tika, chakka, sattaka, attaka, navaka, dasaka, it goes like that, right? So this is only for the hetu, and then we started for the naramana, right? Naramana dukkha, naramana paccaya hetuyā pannarasa, like that. So what we see, to have an understanding, to derive the enumerations for each of these sections, each of these visarjana, we learn about 10 rules, and using them we can go through the entire Paccanīya. And yes, we can do it for the Anuloma Paccanīya and Paccanīya Anuloma as well, right? So just a few rules that we need to know, and then we are done, right? So what we are going to do is to learn those rules. And I sent this document, and in this document, these are actually not, what I did was like actually, these are the, in Myanmar, they have a small kind of poems. In Burmese, they call Sambo to memorize, maybe grammar, maybe Abhidhamma. So this is the part, the Sambo. So what I did was like this Sambo, it's in Burmese and Pali. So I translated into Pali. So the Sinhalese bhikkhus in my country, they are going to memorize this. It's easy to memorize for them in Pali. So I'm asking them to, in my Sinhalese course, I'm asking to do it into Pali. So here, first one, in Pali, I have written, A ubho pariyahayante sankhya terasa. So what it means is when Arambana and Upanissaya are deducted, will be 13 Visarjana. Right? When these two are deducted together, we see how many Visarjana? 30. Right? Say if it is Narambana Paccaya Upanissaye, I'm sorry, Narambana Paccaya na Upanissaye, so you are looking at terasa. Terasa means 13, right? See, Narambana Paccaya na Upanissaye. Narambana Paccaya na Upanissaye terasa. What we are going to learn is this one. So we saw two paccayas, right? Narambana and Naupanissaye. So we are going to deduct these two areas, right? Two groups. So we deduct this Arambana part, plus we are going to deduct this Upanissaye part. So when you deduct this, we get from Sahajata group, this 9, we have this number, right? And then from Vattu Purejāta, what will be added on additionally? So from Vattu Purejāta, we have the Abhyakato, which was already included, right? But Abhyakato Kusalasa and Abhyakato Akusalasa was not included previously, right? So we add up this 2. And moving into the Vattu Purejāta Indriya, it was already included. For the Paccājāta, Kusalo Abhyakatasa, Akusalo Abhyakatasa, and Abhyakato Abhyakatasa was already included. And for Kamma, it was already included previously. For the Rupāhāra and Rupa Jivitindriya, these two Visarjana was already included. And for Sahajata Purejāta Missaka, it was not included previously, right? Kusala Abhyakato Abhyakatasa and Akusala Abhyakato Abhyakatasa. It was not included previously. So we add up this one as well, right? So 9, 2, 2, we are looking at 13. So this Paccājāta Missaka and Paccājāta Indriya Missaka, it was included previously in Sahajata grade, right? So it's not going to have any impact on the total count. So all in all, we are looking at this 13 Visarjana, right? 13 Visarjana. So that's why we learn this rule as A ubho parihayante sankhya terasa. When Arambana and Upanissaya are deducted, will be 13 Visarjana, 13 of them. Clear, right? So actually this is applicable for dukkha, which means when two paccayas are removed for the dukkha sankhya. And there is one more thing which I would like to explain here, to add up here. That means that now from this 15 Visarjana, we are looking at 13. So whatever it is deducted are these kusalo akusalasa and akusalo kusalasa. So these two Visarjana, kusalo akusalasa and akusalo kusalasa, are only applicable for Arambana and Upanissaya. So when these two are removed, we are looking at 13, right? So that's one fact that you all would be interested, would be better to know. And the next rule is Pacca saha parihayante sankhya naveva, which means that when paccājāte and sahajāte are deducted, will be 9 Visarjana. So what we are going to do? So we are going to deduct this part, right? This whole thing, the sahajāte group, we are going to deduct. Why? Because it is paccājāte and sahajāte. Let me write it here, right? And paccājāte and sahajāte, they are deducted, right? Paccājāte and sahajāte. And here we move into the paccājāte group. We are going to deduct this one as well. And in addition to that, so when you are deducting the sahajāte, we have to remove this missaka as well. Sahajāte purejāte missaka is removed. In addition to that, when you are removing paccājāte āhāra missaka has to be removed. Paccājāte indriya missaka has to be removed. Right? So these three we don't see here. Clear, right? Right. So then we have to see how many Visarjana, how many enumerations. It says nine enumerations, right? From Arambana, we get 9 here. Then all the Upanissaya is included in the Arambana, so it doesn't have any impact on the total count. And the rest, the Nanakkanika, Vattupurejāte, Vattupurejātindriya, Balavadubbala Nanakkanika Kamma, Rupāhāra, Rupajivitindriya, all these enumerations which are coming from these paccayas are included in this 9, right? So this becomes the final answer. So that's the second rule that we are going to learn. Pacca saha parihayante sankhya naveva. So this one, it says a u pure parihayante sankhya naveva. Here we are looking at the tika, right? Tika means the by twos, right? 3 paccayas are removed. So these are applicable for tika and the rest, right? So a u pure parihayante sankhya naveva. So when arambana, u means upanissaya, pure are deducted, purejāte are deducted, there will be 9 Visarjana. That we need to know. Okay, we remove the arambana. Oh, I will write it, right? Arambana, upanissaya, and purejāte, right? So we remove the arambana, and then we remove the upanissaya, and then we remove the purejāte here. So in addition to that, there is another element, another part in purejāte. Where do we find it? In the sahajāte purejāte missaka. Okay, so the arambana is removed, upanissaya is removed, and also the purejāte is removed, right? So in addition to the nissagga paccaya we find here. Okay, so we have to add up and see how many visarjanas are applicable here. We start from here, from sahajata, great, right? So then we compare it with the other numbers, right? So paccājāte, we see kusalo abhyakatassa, akusalo abhyakatassa, and abhyakato abhyakatassa, which is already included in the sahajata, right? And then kamma is also included. Rupāhāra, rupa jivitendra is also already included. And these two, paccājātahāra missaka and paccājātendriya missaka, is kusala abhyakato abhyakatassa and akusala abhyakato abhyakatassa, they are already included in this 9. Right? So it doesn't have any impact on the total number. So we're looking at 9 visarjana. So that's why we learned that rule. Āu saha parihayante, I'm sorry, āu pure parihayante sankhya naveva. With the kusala which we accumulated during the last 2 hours by learning the supreme words of Buddha and teaching the supreme words of the Buddha and contemplating the supreme teaching of Patthāna, from this kusala kamma, may it be a supportive for us to attain nibbana. May this kusala kamma be a supportive factor for us, for all the beings in this world and in the other worlds to attain nibbana. May all beings in this world and in the other worlds be well, happy and peaceful from the kusala kamma which we accumulated during these last 2 hours. So with these wishes, we'll recite the final few stanzas from the Abhidhamma commentary and transfer the merits. Yang pattang kusalang tassa anubhavena panino sabbe saddhamma rajassa ñatva dhammang sukhavahang papunantu visuddhāya sukāya patipatthiyā asoka manupāyāsaṃ nibbāna sukha muttamang chirang tiṭṭhatu saddhammo dhamme hontu sagarava sabbepi sattā kālena samma devo pavassatu yathārakkhinsu purāna surājāno tatevimang rājārakkatu dhammena attanova pajang imāya dhammānu dhamma patipatthiyā buddhaṃ pujemi imāya dhammānu dhamma patipatthiyā dhammaṃ pujemi imāya dhammānu dhamma patipatthiyā saṅghaṃ pujemi addhāimāya patipatthiyā jāti jarā vyādi maraṇam hā parimuccissāmi idang me puññaṃ āsavakkaya vahang hotu idang me puññaṃ nibbānassa paccayo hotu mama puñña bhāgaṃ sabba sattānaṃ bhājemi te sabbe me samaṃ puñña bhāgaṃ labhantu sadhu sadhu sadhu.